Welcome to the Alternative Zen Show. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Jen, and today we're going to be talking about mental strength and fortitude.
So mental strength obviously is, being able to be strong and in control of your thoughts when you're going through a hardship. And this is something that takes practice. I mean, it took me many years to feel like I was mentally strong, to feel like I had fortitude, which, for those of you who don't know, fortitude is...
It is having courage through pain
and adversity. Yeah, so when you are mentally strong and you have fortitude, you can pretty much overcome anything. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, right? But it's going to be worth it because, you got to think about what you've gone through and everything that you've survived thus far, And I know it kind of seems sometimes like the struggles and the issues that you face might become worse and worse, but that's probably because you don't know it, or maybe you don't realize it, but you're probably going through similar struggles that you've been going through your whole life, maybe on a weekly, daily basis, but because you've already mastered how to deal with them, they're no big deal, right? So like with stress management, I think mental fortitude and strength come into play because when you have that, it will make stress management so much easier. Obviously, you have tools at your disposal, whether you use essential oils or crystals or books or yoga or meditation.
Or music, or you go to the library and just sit there and pick out a book.
Or sit in nature. Yeah, there's lots of ways to help manage your stress. But being mentally fortified and being resilient can lend to that and to prevent you from needing exterior stress management stuff. So when I talk about we here in this episode, I mean all of us, not just me and Jen, because I do believe that all of us are survivors. I believe that all of us go through struggles and adversity. For a lot of people, there are a lot of people out there who don't need advice from Jen and I on this sort of topic, right? We're mostly talking to the people that do, like our old selves. If I was talking to anybody, I would say I'd be talking to me from age about 16 to 25. And a few years has passed since the end of that time frame. But I mean, even still now, things will happen. And like I said, some things are really easy for me to deal with because I've dealt with them so many times. It's like, okay, no big deal.
You're
right?
Conditioned now. You're conditioned to those struggles, and so you become resilient towards them.
Exactly. But when something new comes up, or just catch you on a bad day, like say you're not feeling well, or we have a pandemic, which nobody's dealt with before, having mental strength and knowing that you're going to get through it, knowing that it's going to be okay. And then, if you live with the philosophy, like we've talked about from like Zen, the Art of Happiness, where that everything happens for a long-term benefit, that can really be helpful. So let's see what else. So stress and life will try and get in the way all the time. Doesn't matter what you're doing. With us starting the shop, I mean, we've been officially open for a month. But before we even opened, we were obviously in the planning and the prep phase, getting everything on our website, procuring all the things we're going to be selling, thinking about making this show. Life still got in the way, life still, stressors will always be there. And so it's a matter of this was a great healthy distraction, I guess. It was something we looked forward to, something we still look forward to. It's itself a new stressor. It's a new job. It's a new way of us living our lives, that's taken us some time to adjust to. And even now, like before this session, we had to, put some music on and dance
Pump
and get some good vibes flowing. Because I don't know, I think it's unconsciously, maybe we get stressed, like, oh, are we going to say the wrong thing? Or are we going to do this topic justice? What are we going to share if we don't want to share stuff that's too personal? All that sort of thing goes through our minds. And so this is a new struggle for us that we need practice with.
And the struggle is real. The saying is, the struggle is real, and this is true. Most definitely.
Yeah, because we're all struggling, and like I've said before, in some way. Some ways where there's similarities, and then there's some ways where there's not. So let's take a look at some of the things we jotted down for this one. So we realized, especially after watching our manifestation video last week when we were doing the editing, that we need to practice what we preach. And so it's funny because it's like we love giving advice, but what I realize is that it's not that easy to take your own advice, right? Like if I'm giving advice to someone else going through a hard time, and I'm not emotionally invested in, I'm able to give really great advice, but then maybe they don't follow it. Well, it happens to me too. Like even if I'm giving advice to people, such as in doing the show, like last week we were talking about manifestation. It was like giving myself advice when I rewatched it because I was starting to get frustrated.
That's exactly how I felt because like last week after doing that show, I felt kind of drained and almost like disappointed in what the universe was sending me, and I had to remind myself like I need to practice what I preach. I watched that video and I was just like, oh my god, I'm manifesting all of the wrong things right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of struggling because emotionally these things are affecting me and my day-to-day happiness. And just over the course of a couple days of a few things that aren't going the right way, or everything doesn't always go the right way, but just things that are happening out of the ordinary that shouldn't be happening happen. And that kind of stress can lead you into a negative like thought path and a negative way of thinking. And I saw myself immediately after having 2 or 3 days of a few things that were not to my benefit or anybody's benefit happening. I was starting to go down a negative thought process, like a negative thought pathway. And I was like, no, stop, halt, don't do that. Mm-hmm. You've already trained your brain enough and rewired your brain enough to like not go down the negative thinking path and like the doubting, like self-doubt or just doubting things in general. I've trained myself to continue to have hope, continue to have faith, and push through it, because if you do that, it goes away so much faster. The feeling of struggling, like emotionally or mentally, if you continue to just push through it, it goes a lot faster. And it seems like it will go away faster.
Well, it's like we've gotten good, I think, at this point of recognizing when we start that negative pathway, right?
Yes.
Or, rather quickly, we were like, okay, I'm depressed, or okay, something is really bothering me. What is it?
Right.
We know that we need to step back, take some time to really think about it, and then we need to think about what can we control, what can we do about the situation, right? And thinking about, okay, love usually solves most problems, honestly. So when someone else is maybe hurting you or making stupid choices that affect you, it's like, okay, well, how can I love them and maybe add some positive energy to the situation? How can I encourage them? But it is really frustrating when you're trying to help someone. They say they want help, but then they aren't willing to put in the effort to do what they need to do to pull themselves out of their situation so they don't keep having the same thing happen over and over again. It is frustrating.
Right.
But it's a journey. It's a process. There's a huge learning curve. And it's just practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And practice makes progress. I don't think that things can ever be perfect, but practice makes progress, and that's what they say in karate too. Like practice makes progress. So if you continue to practice having strength through your struggles, you will get there and become more resilient to things that you face that do pose a threat to making you struggle, or pose a threat to your happiness, or pose a threat to your mental stability at that time.
And here's the thing too, and I've been through this, like last year, my traumatic event, right? Like I had come so far in my growth and development, and I thought I had all my stuff taken care of. I thought there was no way that anybody was ever going to abuse me again. I thought there was no way anybody was ever going to control my emotions, right? But when you get berated by negativity from other people, and when you are being abused, and verbal abuse sometimes the worst, because it's like those words linger and they repeat.
They definitely do. Words almost hold more power than somebody's fist or
the pen is mightier
strike
than
of
the
a
sword.
hand. Yeah, it really is. It could, because the physical pain will eventually go away, but the mental pain is always there.
Especially if you unfortunately believe it.
Right, and that's another thing too. Is that's a struggle. Is a lot of people struggle with not having the ability actually to disbelieve what someone is telling them when they're important to them. It's really hard to not take somebody serious when they say mean things to you that you love, that you support, who's involved in your everyday life. It may be a friend, it may be a family member, it may be your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever the case it is. Those people are important to you. And when they say things that really hurt you, it could put you into a place where you're struggling, and it makes you struggle. And so it's really, really important to remember who you are and how to get through that struggle and continue to be strong.
Right. And deep down, like for me, I had to know the truth. I had to know that what they were saying was not true.
Right.
But what they were doing is, and this person was a severe narcissist, they knew me, they knew my weaknesses, or at least they thought they did. So they pinpointed the things that I cared about. They attacked what I held dear in the hopes that they would get me to fight back. They wanted to like catch me up and make me the bad guy. Or in their head they did think I was the bad guy. They thought they did nothing wrong. Right. Most abusers don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah, that's how it is, unfortunately. But
they just take their stuff out on other people. We've talked about misery loves company. We've said that many times.
Yeah.
So being mentally strong, having mental fortitude does take practice, but it is practice that is worth it. And I think that it's what the universe wants for us. The universe wants us to be strong and to be survivors. The
universe wants us all to be on the same higher vibration and just to deal with things in the proper ways that we're trying to explain and use in our everyday life and try to educate people about. And what we go through is really something that can help us help others go through their struggles. We may not necessarily know what they're going through, but having the empathy for them and knowing that even though you've struggled yourself before and their situation is completely different than yours, just understand and remember the feeling of how you felt when you struggled, and give them compassion and give them empathy and just try to uplift them and give them the strength. This is what we have to do to each other for each other as well. You're not, we're not really feeling, trying to make a video today about struggling because we're kind of struggling, and we have to practice what we preach. And so we have to really get yourself in the mindset and have somebody that you can lean on to uplift you and give you that courage through pain.
Yeah. And so, because when I say have somebody, we talked about, there's many times I felt like I had nobody. I didn't want to burden the people who cared about me with my problems, right? That was my misunderstanding.
Sorry, you have to remember that you have yourself. Always remember that you have yourself. Even if you are alone or feel lonely, you have yourself. And if you can't value yourself or value the pain that you're suffering and know that you're going to come out in the end, it's really hard to obtain that mental strength. You have to know who you are and know what you are to become stronger, mentally stronger, and have the strength.
Yeah. And it was hard. It's hard too, if you're someone like me or like how I used to be, where you just, for no reason, I would just feel depressed and even suicidal because I was something just felt so wrong and I couldn't put my finger on it. And there were times where it's like, okay, well, I need to change my life, but I felt like I was unable to do so. So when I was unable to change my life, I had to change my mindset. I recognized when I was just having a bad day, and so I'd be like, okay, do I need more rest? Do I need to eat better? Do I need to drink more water? Do I need to spend more time in nature? Do I need to journal? Do I need to talk to somebody? That is me becoming my own advocate and doing all that stuff, right? Recognizing that being depressed, being suicidal, while it's natural for me after everything that I've kind of gone through, it also told me that I needed some healing. It told me that I needed to make some changes for myself, to pull myself out of the pit that I kept going back into inadvertently. For a long time I was like, there were times over the years where it's like things were going great and I didn't have any depression whatsoever. I'm like, oh, I'm cured. And then when it comes back,
and then when life hits you, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and then I used to completely fall to pieces because
I didn't heal what I was supposed to heal. I'm just going through the motions of life, and then when that life situation arises, you're just like smacked in the face again, and you're like, oh my God, I never quite figured out how to deal with this properly.
Right. And so I know I have, and I think you have, but I know other people have been at that point where they didn't. I've seen like tweets and things. Stop telling people to be strong. Stop telling people that they're fighters and that they can get through anything. But they can, just some people just think of themselves as survivors and not fighters. But life is a precious gift that is worth fighting for. So if you have overcome depression, if you have overcome thoughts of suicide, give yourself a pat on the back.
Mm-hmm. You're still here. You're still here. And suicide is something that's a very, very serious topic.
Yeah, and it hits us.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're ever, there's tons of resources out there now. There's tons of, there is a lot of knowledge and education going on. Okay, sorry, we had to take a brief break.
Just needed a second to collect the things and feelings. Got a little emotional.
Which is totally okay. And that's the thing is a lot of people think that when they get emotional or if they get upset, that it's a sign of weakness. But it's not. Like being emotional, and being in touch with our emotions, I think is actually a very good thing.
It's a strength.
It is. We consider ourselves empaths, and I think a lot of people these days are recognizing themselves empaths, which I think is great, to have empathy for other people and to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes and to understand what they've been through and to recognize that we all share the hardships and struggles that we do. Is a really great thing to be an empath, to be hypersensitive. I've always been considered a sensitive person.
Same.
And a lot of people made fun of me for it or saw it as a weakness. It really sucked when I would cry at work, because I got so stressed out.
Or upset about something.
Yeah, you can't control sometimes, especially when you have your cell phone on you all the time. Somebody sends you a message, you can't help but read it in the middle of your day. Some people just aren't capable of compartmentalizing and putting that away till later. I was not one of those people for a very long time, and so I would cry at my desk. I couldn't just check my stuff at the door and focus on work because my mind kept going back to those things. And so with practice, I developed the strength that doesn't happen so much anymore. And if it does, maybe it's because I haven't been taking care of myself, because I haven't been sleeping enough, because I haven't been eating well enough. Maybe it's just something going on in the universe, like a full moon or Mercury retrograde, I don't know, that gets you going sometimes. But whatever it is, if you are emotional, that's okay. Suicide and hardships are tough to talk about. And so when something triggers you, whether it's a date or a topic or seeing something that reminds you of an event, there was a long time where I couldn't watch certain movies because I would get angry or upset, mostly with the cheating stuff because that was so traumatic for me.
Yeah.
And so just allow your emotions to flow. Crying can be a great thing on your path to strength. Because it's actually when you cry, it releases stress. There's actually different types of tears, and they can be very purifying for you. So if you are a crier like we are,
get the cries out. Get them out when you need to. If you feel like you need to break down, go in a room, shut the door, get it out. Let it all flow. Cry as hard as you need to cry. Scream into a pillow. Do what you need to do. Run into the middle of the forest and scream. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes man, I really want to run into the middle of a forest and scream at the top of my lungs. And then you just cry it out and you feel better. You just feel better. It's a way to de-stress yourself sometimes. And a lot of people don't realize that when you do feel so overly drained and exhausted and stressed out and mentally and emotionally sad, that crying helps you release those emotions.
It does. Just make sure you don't stay there.
Yeah, don't stay there. Get it out and let it go.
Yes, exactly. Give yourself time. Give yourself patience. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think that is a mistake people make when they just try and bury their feelings. And when they repress what's upsetting them, they just need to deal with it and let it go and get over it. Well, a lot of times you actually end up carrying that resentment or that pain with you, and so you harbor that stuff. And it's like when somebody does something similar, generally the same person, if they do something similar, it's like, oh, well, they haven't changed, or
Yeah.
here they go again. What else can I expect? And it's hard when it's someone you love doing that stuff, because when you love someone, it's not easy to just cut them out, and there's been a lot of talk, in the last few years, I think, about how it's okay to let toxic people go.
Yes, and it doesn't matter if they're your blood or you're married to them. If somebody is toxic, you need to cut the toxic out, and your life will change.
I would say, I am a fan of trying to fix the problem, like trying to do therapy, trying to get help from friends, trying to just talk through it yourselves. Sometimes that's you just need space.
And sometimes it's not even in the cards, because the other person isn't capable of giving you what you need, or what you expect out of the relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second, I gotta sneeze. Sorry, the sneeze ended up not coming. So we've talked about, we can grow from our hardships. We should embrace our tears, and allow them to flow. Maybe listen to some music that's cathartic, maybe helps you get it out. But I would suggest don't keep listening. Like, I made that mistake where I listen to really sad music for prolonged periods of time, or angry music for prolonged periods of time. And it actually, I think it affects me very deeply.
Yeah,
you have to listen to angry music
negatively, for sure.
Yeah, and then you start picking up those vibes, and then you're walking around and you're negative, or you're unhappy, or you're depressed, and you're just putting on a fake smile.
Right.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people hide their pain. They don't want anybody to know anything is wrong. They just think they've got to, man up and deal with it. And
woman up and deal with it.
Yeah, I use man up generally, I know. Right? Okay. Like, I call people dude and stuff.
Me too.
So yeah, face, embrace your pain, embrace your struggles, and learn from them. It's okay. It is okay to feel weak sometimes, but when you feel weak, that's when you should keep going, because that's when you'll find your strength that you may not have even thought you were capable of.
Yes.
So I do want to encourage you again to overcome, or to think about the things you have overcome. Think about your successes. Give yourself a pat on the back. A mentor of mine, professional mentor, a while back, told me to have an Atta-Girl file of the accomplishments. So when you feel like things aren't going right, or when you feel like you can't do anything right, go back to that Atta-Girl file and be like, oh, I did this well, and I've come this far, and I've progressed this much. Sometimes leaning on that will help a lot.
And give you strength to continue to go through whatever you're going through.
Yeah, because there have been so many times where I was like, I don't think I'm going to get through this. I'm not going to get through this. I want to give up. I just can't take anymore. And then afterwards, like, whoa, I did that. I got through it. Mm-hmm. And
you reflect on it, and you're just like, wow. In the middle of that, I never ever thought that I was going to be able to get over this pain and get back to a healthy way of thinking. And then here you are.
Yeah. I mentioned this before, we have to be our own advocates. We have to learn ourselves. We have to recognize when we start feeling a certain way, to kind of do things that combat it. If you don't want, so say you can't cry, right? Like I said, I'm not very good at compartmentalizing, but with practice that can become good too. It's one of those where you have to actively change your mindset. You have to actively redirect your thoughts and try and focus on something. Sometimes distractions can be really great. So,
but a little bit of effort will go a long way, and a little bit of, practicing to be a little bit more positive in your mind, or practicing to, be a little bit more healthier in your life. Just doing those little tiny things, a little tiny bit, will get you a long way. Will go a long way, and build that strength over time. And then you're going to be implementing these things in your life, and you'll be so strong. You're like, who the heck am I?
Yep. That's kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, whoa, this is me. I'm kind of a badass.
Right. Badass for sure.
But even then, me being so, I guess not like. I want to say shy, but it's not shy. I guess it's lack of confidence, like just not seeing myself as like cool enough to be a badass. That held me back for a long time. Jen makes me feel like a badass. That's why I like her.
We're both badass. successes, and it took us both a really long time to like own up to it. And like for me, being a young mom at 18, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to try to make sure that my family stayed together, and that my son had a father. It was a struggle financially, but I look back at it now and I realize that it really made me a stronger person, and it really made me be able to hold down my own fort now as a single mom. It really made me understand that the struggle is worth it, because I reflect on my son and I'm just like, wow, I did an awesome job. And so it makes me emotional a little bit, because he really is a great kid, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like, I get a lot of feedback about him, and it's hard for me to recognize that, but I'm just like, okay, I did do a good job, and it makes you stronger. And so when you like reflect on your struggles, just remember how strong you actually are, and it's just a really good thing to push through those mental struggles with positive reinforcements and positive affirmations of like, I can get through anything. And I actually have a tattoo on my body that says strength, wisdom, and faith. And I got this tattoo a long time ago. I think it was about 2009. And the reason I put these words on my body is because I was struggling at the time, and I wanted a reminder that if I stay strong and I continue to have strength and remember that I have the wisdom to get through these things and continue to have faith, I will be able to get through anything, and so can you. And I always have to remind myself that you have to have strength, wisdom, and faith. You obtain wisdom by learning from the experiences that you went through and how you struggled and how you persevered through them in the healthy and positive ways that you were able to do so to get you here. And so when you really put that into place in your life, it changes things. And thankfully, I have a reminder, every day that I need to continue to have strength and remember the wisdom that I have gained, and continue to have faith, and everything will be okay, and the universe will do what it needs to do. So
yeah, and I have similar. I have a tattoo
both have
on my
strength
arm.
On our body.
With pain comes strength, and I have it right here so that I can look at it all the time. When I am going through pain, or when because I know that I will get through it. I know that I am so strong because of all the pain that I've endured. Mental, emotional, physical, all that good stuff. Strength, obviously the strength we're talking about is mental strength. We're not physical strength. I mean, that comes from working out. Anybody can have that. But
and
just
focusing your energy too. You can really focus your energy and be a lot stronger than you think you are if you're able to focus your energy like that.
But like with working out physically, to become more physically strong, mental strength comes with being worked out.
Yes.
Excuse me.
They go hand in hand.
With your trials and tribulations, with your pain comes your strength. So be thankful for your pain. I mean, that's everybody has it. It makes us who we are. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life that I hated before. They caused me a lot of pain, but it's just, I'm really thankful where I'm at now. And if one thing had been done differently, who knows what kind of trajectory my life would have taken. If I would have been able to stay at home beyond 18, and what would my life be like? Would I have had the drive to continue going to college? Would I have had the drive to be in the professional world and to work myself up the ladder? Would I be as independent and as resilient and as self-reliant as I am? I mean, really, I don't think so. I think that being on my own showed me the strength that I never knew I was possible of having. So we all have that.
Yes.
We all have the power in us to save ourselves and even save other people, to be strong enough for ourselves and strong enough for other people.
I'm going to just throw in a quick quote here. Strength grows in the moments when you think you can't go on, but you keep going anyway, and it's actually unknown. So really holds such a true, deep meaning. You really do grow when you push through and you have the fortitude and you have the courage through your pain to get to the other side of it. It's a really beautiful quote.
Well, yeah, and so one thing I had written down on our sheet paper is when we want to give up, that is exactly when we need to push through. Mm-hmm. And that tiny bit of effort can really go a long way. It's just like with failure. When you think you're going to fail, when you're at the end of the rope, like when you give it that little bit extra, when you're almost to the finish line and if you're cross country runner, you're almost at the finish line, that's when you're like, okay, let's go. You push really yourself. You push yourself and you're going to get there. And then sometimes, maybe the push you get from yourself isn't like jet fuel that really good. Maybe it's just
or like Sonic.
Maybe it's just a tiny bit, right? But whatever you can muster
is worth it.
Is worth it, yeah. And that's in those times, again, the universe or God is probably with you, cheering you on, telling you that you've got this, and that's
need to listen.
And it's great that when you're able to open up to people you can trust, and if you're like me, there's not a lot of people that you probably feel that you can trust, but if you have one or two people, or even yourself, you just journal, you can be honest with yourself, but to have one or two people to lean on, to remind you how great you are, can really help. And if you feel like you don't have a lot of people, well, then go out and find those people. I don't think any of us are meant to live this life completely alone. No. Because we are all in this together, and we're all part of a greater whole. And that's why if we all work on healing and being lighter and being happier, just imagine how much better the world could be.
So I'm just going to go ahead and read two more quotes that really pertain to the topic that we're talking about today. The first one is, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. And that's by Steve Maraboli. And then the next one is, where there is no struggle, there is no strength. And that's Oprah Winfrey. There I go, chopping up her name. My bad.
It's okay. And yeah, it's kind of like my tattoo. It becomes strength.
Yeah.
So I do want to remind everybody, when you're going through a tough time, don't forget to rest. I am bad at that, right?
A lot of us are bad at it.
It's like, because we have so much to do. We're like, okay, we have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw an infographic a week or two ago where it's like, okay, you have to make time for rest, because otherwise, like, the only time you're going to have to rest is when you get sick. If you just keep go, well, then at the end you're going to get sick. So it's got to be like, go and rest and go and rest. Go and rest.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Oh, yeah. And I've, as an adult, like, once I enter my 30, I really understood. Yeah. I've started to really understand that as an adult. Because my family, we are a bunch of fast, loud livers.
Yeah, same. If you know my mom.
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom. She's the best ever. I love you. She's always been my strength. My mom has always been my strength. Even when she's not strong, she's strong for me, and she's strong for everybody else. She's strong for Nicole. Mm-hmm. She's strong for every person that I know and love. So thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Jen. The
other Jen.
The other Jen. This is my Jen. That's
I'm the little
Jen.
Jen. She's the big Jen.
So when you're going through a really tough time, or if you think you're suicidal, pray and ask for help, but then be willing to receive it. I always thought I had to do things on my own, and it has gotten me so far. But I have gone so much farther having help. This dream of Alternative Zen wouldn't be a reality. It wouldn't be as great as it is without Jen here doing this with me.
So thankful.
Yeah, we've not just professionally, but personally, we've helped each other so much in this last couple of months as we started doing this, and so it's really great to be surrounded with people like her. So find your Jen.
Yeah, oh, you're so sweet.
So if you want some essential oils to help with like self-love or emotional strength, so for self-love, balance and serenity are great. Serenity is also good for getting a good night's sleep. Mm-hmm. You can put a drop or two on your wrists, on the back of your neck, or on your feet. Balance, I use this throughout the day as well.
Every
sometimes day. When I need to sleep, I just put it on my wrists, and that's what I said before, it's like woodsy, it smells really great. It's not too feminine either. So guys,
Yeah,
you can.
I rub it on my kids all the time, and they're like, "Oh, this smells so good," and I'm like, "Yeah, inhale." And they do it, and they're like, "Wow!" And they're just like so much. They feel so much better throughout the day, and they don't even realize it. And I was like, "Yeah, I gotcha."
So then for emotional strength, balance is blend helps for that as well. Adaptive is another blend by doTERRA. Console blend, which I also use for grief and for depression.
Loved it.
Then,
it helped me so much. Nicole recently brought that to me. I had lost a few people within a 2-week time span, and it really, really made me feel a lot better. It was really amazing.
It does. So if you're grieving, if you're going through a tough time, I mean, you can rub some console over your chest, over your heart, and then also smell it in your fingers after you rub it in. It is really nice. Yeah. And there's some rose and lavender in there. It's very, very pretty, and it really does help. And then Elevation is another blend by doTERRA. It's like a lemony kind of uplifting blend. And then Peace. We talked about Peace before. So
Peace
that helps when you have anger. That helps when you are struggling. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty more oils that could help. The list is so long, though. I don't want to keep going. I did pick out a few crystals to help you guys out with. We don't have these in stock yet, but hopefully sooner rather than later we will. So Argonite, Chrysocolla, Onyx, Sardonyx, and Black Tourmaline. They can all help kind of get rid of negative emotions. They can all help, mental fortitude,
block off
with
negative energy.
Block negative energy, or even cleanse negative energy. So yeah, pick up some oils, pick up some crystals. We can tell you if we don't have them, we can help you find where you can go to get them. And yeah, we welcome any comments, questions, or feedback as always. Jen, did you want to close with anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say that if you're struggling, just please reach out to somebody and don't struggle alone. We're always here for you. If you are a stranger, please reach out. I'm emotional, sorry. But we're here for you. If you don't know us, we're here for you. Just send us a message. Send a comment on this video. Reach out to the National Suicide Hotline and Prevention team, because those people work miracles. And every year I try to ask for donations for that. My family has been severely affected by suicide. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
And we struggle every day to cope and be okay, especially around, dates, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, and stuff like that. And I just want to make sure that people know that when you feel like you cannot go on and you take your life away from this earth and you take your pain away temporarily, you bring everybody that loves you and cares about you, even though you don't think they do, so much more pain and grief and suffering in the physical world. And I know that you don't want to do that, and we know that you don't want to do that, but just please reach out and do the things and practice the things that you need to practice to become a better mentally stable and strong person. Because we love you and we want you to be here, whoever you are, no matter who you are. You're human and you deserve to be here.
You're strong, and trust me, if I could be here today, like talking about this stuff, imagine where you could be in a couple of years when you realize that life is worth living and that suicide just isn't the answer. You can heal, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You can heal, and it doesn't have to be extremely hurtful. I mean, it will, the healing process can hurt.
And it's not going to happen in a short period of time. A lot of times you spend a lot of your life trying to heal until you get to a point where you actually feel okay. I have this tattoo, which is the semicolon, and it is the symbol for suicide prevention and awareness. And it means to continue your story, continue your sentence, continue your life's path, and not to end your life with a period. Continue it.
So keep strong, develop that mental fortitude. Let us know if there's any ways that we can help. We have a lot of great resources in our shop, and we would also be happy to just
have a conversation with you if you need it, or guide you and put you in the direction you need to go.
But you're strong and you are loved. Have a great day.
Bye.